About a year and a half ago, after practicing cardiology for 25 years, I had the opportunity to speak to an entrepreneurial group that Damon John is a member of, called the Genius Network. And I came up with the topic, Dead Execs Don't Get Bonuses. And it was such a resounding response to it, it became a book that became a #1 bestseller in multiple countries, and it has launched an interest in executive health, because we can't build a strong state without strong executives. So if you'll give me 10 minutes that I was asked, this is about you, your health, and transforming Michigan as we make progress with strong leaders that stay with us as strong leaders. So I'm going to take a moment to indicate the important role of this island in Michigan medicine, but there's a point to it in terms of your health as entrepreneurs and executives. Because exactly 194 years ago, on this day in June 1822, a young fur trader, Alexis St Martin, was shot in the stomach by a musket accidentally and expected to die. Who rushed to his side other than the dapper Dr. William Beaumont, who had just finished a tour of Army surgery duty and was able to work on his wound but expected him to pass away and could not close his stomach. Miraculously, Alexis survived with an open stomach. You may know the story that Beaumont used that to investigate stomach physiology, became known as the father of American physiology for a number of years, and proved that acid digests our stomach contents. Well, that's all interesting. What is relevant to your life is that with this open wound, Alexis St Martin outlived Dr. Beaumont, who became an executive in the Army. He outlived him by more than 25 years. It takes a toll to be an executive. It could affect your health, and heart is #1, and I'm going to turn to that topic right now. So I want to show you two numbers, maybe the 10 minutes that I have to present a Mackinac moment. But for me, it's a different meaning. One is the fact that despite our worries about Alzheimer's, cancer, our memory, our appearance, the #1 risk to your health and your ability to function in your business and your community is cardiovascular disease. More than 1/3 of all deaths in Michigan are due to cardiovascular disease. We lose 5,000 people under the age of 65 to that illness in this state, and it's affecting our ability to perform, and it is, as you'll see, my tenet that it's unnecessary. 0 is the goal. I've written in the Huffington Post and other places that we can easily prevent 1 million heart attacks in the United States in the next 2 years, but I don't have that goal this morning. I want by next policy conference not one member in this room, not one coworker that they have back at home, or one loved one has unexpected or undiagnosed heart disease. It's doable. I'll show you how. It must be 0 by a year from now, so please participate with me. I want to go a little deeper into a brief little bit of history. Thomas Sydenham. Thomas Sydenham was known as the English Hippocrates. He lived 350 years ago. But he made a statement that science has shown is true now. If you want to know your age, know the age of your arteries. As your arteries get calcified and older, your entire body, your brain, your kidneys, and your risk of cancer go up. Science that's been shown in the last few years. But how many of you in the room know your artery age and how that might impact your performance, your future, and hopefully one day even retirement and the years you might have ahead? So stick with me and let me show you about that. I'm going to fast forward, though, from 350 years ago to about 4 weeks ago when my friend Vishen Lakhiani came out with a new book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. I urge you to buy it. It's a wonderful book. He's a graduate of the University of Michigan School of Engineering, and he's one of the most admired CEOs in the world as founder of a company called Mind Valley. Lakhiani advises us to question everything. Either you are disrupting your field or you will be disrupted in your business or your commerce. It's as true in medicine as it is true in any other field. Lakhiani has a knack for coming up with new words. One of his new words is brules, and I doubt you've heard that before. Brules are things in your business, or in my field, heart disease, that hold you back from making progress. Brules is short for bullshit rules, and I hope you don't mind me saying that. But it's a term you can carry out of here and use to your advantage. So let me put a scenario in front of you. You're 40, you're 45, 50, 55, 60. You go to your family doctor, your internist. Maybe you go to the Cleveland Clinic, University of Michigan, MSU, or Mayo Clinic. You get a doctor to listen to you, you get an EKG, you get lab work. Maybe you get an executive stress test. You're told you're fine. There's no heart disease, there's nothing to worry about. Well, I'm sorry to pop the bubble, but that is a brutal. That is simply not true. Heart arteries are very small. I've been inside of them tens of thousands of times. They're difficult to diagnose, and every test that I mentioned has the inability. It'd be like telling your mechanic, you have a noise in the engine, but you're not allowed to lift the hood, you're not allowed to examine the engine. It simply isn't tenable that we continue to practice for the #1 killer in this state and your #1 fear and concern, even more powerful than cancer and Alzheimer's, without knowing the new facts. So let's look at some of the new facts. How could we ever diagnose the difference between Winston Churchill, overweight, smoking a cigar, who made it to 91, and Jim Fixx, who wrote the book of running, ran 10 miles every day and was thin, and died in his early 50s of a heart attack? The old rules of heart disease don't work. Here are the new rules. I want to get a personal note before I reveal that to you. Imre Molnar was a member of this community, the Michigan Policy Conference. He spoke on this stage a few years ago. He was provost of the Center for Creative Studies in Detroit. He was a loving husband to wife Felicia and a wonderful father to 2 young children. Imre, at age 60, went for that physical. He had that blood work. He had that electrocardiogram. He ate well. He was thin. He practiced yoga, and he loved to ride bikes. Imre went out on a bike ride December 28, 2012, totally confident that that beautiful morning in the LA hills was going to be a great morning. He went with a relative who 50 minutes later called Felicia and said, there's a problem. Imre's down. He's getting CPR on the side of the road. It doesn't look good. Felicia jumped in a car and joined Imre at the side of the road, all to no avail. Imre passed away in her arms, tragically dying at age 60. One of the saddest things that happened. It took a year to replace him at the Center for Creative Studies. He'll never be replaced in his family. On autopsy, he had a 95% narrowing of his proximal left anterior descending artery. It's called the LAD, but in my field, we call it the widowmaker. He had been to the doctor 2 weeks before. He had all the tests. He had no symptoms. It robbed him of his life. We simply have to learn that that can happen, and we simply can't allow that to happen to the leadership of Michigan, let alone the entire citizenship. So what can you do about it, and what's the alternative? I'm bringing you up to date on something that is not brand new, but is not spoken enough. There is a technology called coronary artery calcium scanning. It's like lifting the hood on that engine with the mechanic. It is a very simple test I'll tell you a bit more about. It reveals your arterial age. The right panel A is an executive, no symptoms, active, feels good. At the prime of his life, the circle indicates that his arteries are free of calcium, free of plaque, free of disease. This is great news. I'll show you how great in a minute. The middle panel is a female executive. Feels fine, not short of breath, no nausea, hears about the test, goes for it, and her arteries are moderately calcified. The white dots in the circle indicating there is indeed silent heart disease. And on the right is the scariest of scariest that I've seen dozens and dozens of times. Active, no symptoms, been to the doctor, having a wonderful life, looking ahead, yet the arteries are indeed very old. Dr. Sidingham would say this is predicting a problem and a shortened lifespan, detected only with the technology that a CT scan can do for the heart. A freak of nature that plaque is calcified and CAT scans can identify calcium, but a wonderful freak of nature that lets us be far more accurate than the old paradigm. How important is it to you to know this? And I'm speaking to you personally now. I want you to look at yellow and red. Many research studies, this goes out more than 10 years. You go for this CAT scan, you come back a 0. You're the yellow line. Your freedom from heart attack, stroke, bypass, stent, and dying of heart disease is essentially 100% for 10 years. You are free of the problem. Don't go eat KFC and McDonald's, but you have a very happy report. Look at the red line. These are people that have a calcium score of more than 400. This is not even all that high. It's about 25% of the people I see, and probably 25% of the people in the room is a silent problem. Yet year after year after year, the freedom from cardiac disease and cardiac events falls off significantly. And you want to be yellow or red? Well, right now at this moment, you can't determine which you are, and you can't change it overnight. But there's a rule out there that says, why even bother? What can we do about it? This is a chronic disease, and I can't really get rid of it. Well, I'm here to tell you that also is wrong. I just want you to look all the way to the right where there's a circle. In my clinic, we use a variety of modalities. I can't go into all of them, but using an oral agent that's just simply taking some pills, a heart calcium score of more than 2,000, being dropped to under 1,000 in less than 6 months with ongoing therapy. This is the kind of technology we need to apply in those that are identified with silent calcified plaque. So we can literally take Dr. Saidham's advice that a man and a woman is as old as his arteries and turn the clock back to improve the outcome and improve your health and vitality, and indirectly that of the state of Michigan. So a few more numbers. 1, 1 in 100. Because you'll go home and you might mention a coronary artery calcium CAT scan to your family doctor, your internist, your friends, your neighbors. You might have a cardiologist, and I respect all those in the state, and they know of this test. So I want to prepare you for the answers to the questions you'll get. One is the test takes 1 minute. You literally don't take your shirt off, you lie down, you're rolled in, you're rolled out. There's no IV, there's no iodine, you can't have an allergic reaction. There can't possibly be a simpler test. If you've ever had a stress test where they inject you and it goes on for 4 hours, this is 1 minute. The second one is the amount of radiation you get. Always a concern in medicine, to do no harm. That's what we live by. But it has dropped because of technology. There's a dose called a millisievert. The CAT scan is less than 1 millisievert. The women in the room know when they go for a mammogram, it doesn't involve some radiation. It's the same dose as a mammogram. And indeed, this calcium score is often called the mammogram of the heart. I strongly encourage you to read more about it. It's become very safe with new technology. The final part is the 100. 100 is what it costs. In my community in the Detroit area, some hospitals $80, some $120. Used to be $1,000, but it's at a point now where anybody can access this of almost any economic status. There's rarely a payer in the state of Michigan that will reimburse for this test, sadly, but maybe that'll change. I encourage you, there's a documentary called The Widowmaker you can find on Netflix and other access. In the state of Texas, every citizen in Texas gets this scan as a free benefit from their insurance company at age 50. Now, the documentary will tell you how that got through the legislature. It took one angry state senator who had a heart attack to make that happen. Maybe we could look forward to that being a benefit for the citizens of the state of Michigan. But at $100, this is a test that obviously everybody in the room can do, and probably every loved one and coworker you have can do that also. It could be built into wellness programs easily and cost effectively. So as I come to a conclusion, I want to say again, dead execs don't get bonuses. But to me, more important is dead execs don't change cities. Dead execs don't make school systems better. Dead execs don't reform our state and move it forward as we march to gain the recognition we have for this wonderful place we all live. Only living execs. We can't have more Imre Molnars, and you know others that have suffered this terrible outcome or perhaps survived the heart disease but are still struggling with it. We have the technology, so we'll be willing to break some rules and get the real checkup, the real results, the real reversal to move forward in this state in the spirit of the scientific curiosity of Dr. William Beaumont and improve the health of the state of Michigan and your own personal health. Thank you.